How's it gonna be this RaiderKnight, and what was my first ever game that I've ever played? If you were gonna guess, you'd probably say Mario Bros. And it's definitely one of the first games I played, but it was not my first game. It was one of my first games, but not the first one. My first ever game, Legend of Zelda and Legend of Zelda 2 Link's Awakening. I kind of put them both in the same category because I played them both around the same time, and I played them both pretty much hand in hand, but I'd say, again, my first ever game is the original, but I played them both hand in hand, and I kind of played them so much, I just consider them both kind of, in a way, my first game, but Legend of Zelda 2, definitely my favorite. A lot of people don't like this game. It's also known as one of the worst Legend of Zelda games, but for the people who don't like the game, I would say you're just not good at games in general, because the reason they don't like this game is because the game is very difficult to beat. And it is very difficult to beat, but that's what makes it fun. That's kind of what a game is all about, is to be challenging. And that's kind of the fun about this game as well. I love the music in this game. The music is timeless. The gameplay in the second one is timeless as well. And overall, there's a lot of cool things. Obviously, you have the desert dungeon, the big starter dungeon. That's always the best intro to this game. There's no better intro to this game than that. I'm very glad that they went with this dungeon as well, because it's just the most iconic part about the game in general, is that first dungeon. Obviously, after the dungeon, you go to the different towns, you go heal up, etc. You go into the cave, you get the thing that can light up the caves, and then you go through the other cave, and kaboom, you are in the next region. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this game. I have a lot of good memories from this game as well. Not many of you have probably played the game or completed it, but I remember this one town. It's kind of close to the south of the map, but you had to go across this bridge, and I remember you had to get something to get across the bridge, which was probably the most interesting part about the game, is because this game is a full-fledged RPG, and I kind of never really experienced that until I played this game. So it was a lot of fun trying to get across that bridge. There's also a graveyard, and I remember the graveyard being past this big cave or something like that, and this cave sucked. Alright, I don't like the caves in this game. Very difficult to get through. And there's also all these crazy monsters that I'm not good at destroying, but they're in the game. Especially the Orange Knight, I hated it. But if you're lucky enough to survive past all that, you get to the graveyard to be met with a lot of monsters, let me just say that. You can also go across the ocean. I'm not sure if you needed to get the stone bracelet or whatever it was to get across. The little mountain range, or maybe it was you go through the graveyard. I kind of forget. It's been a while since I've played. I think I just went through the graveyard. I don't know if it was that the stone bracelet was around that point as well. I think you get the stone bracelet in the water dungeon that's in the middle of nowhere. I kind of forget. Again, it's been a long time since I've played, but what you do is you get the stone bracelet, and you can start breaking the stones, blah blah blah. And it really opens up the whole map. There's also a lot of different cave regions in the south of the map, and I never really understood this. This is the worst part of the game, is definitely these caves. So confusing, especially when I was 4. I could never get through the caves. I think I should replay this game just to see how far I can really get, but I could never get through these caves. I don't remember what's on the other side, if there is another side, but I could never get through these caves. It was a awful nightmare if you ever wanted to get through these caves. I remember that. And there's also this one city. I don't really remember which one it is. I think it's the desert city on the second island, but there was this woman in it or whatever, and if you talked to her, she would turn into a monster, and you'd have to fight. And I always thought that was the coolest plot twist. It'd be cool to see more modern games really just throw curveballs at you out of nowhere. I really like that. Obviously, they have to be grounded in reality, But I really think that's kind of a cool concept that more games should definitely explore. I also remember that there was this area south of the second island village area type thing, and it was kind of like this lava area or something. I actually never got to go into it because I never got that far, but maybe I should jump back into this game. Maybe I should finish it up. I remember you couldn't go into this area unless you had some special item. I forget what it was, but maybe I should play this in my spare time, jump back into it, and win, just for good old time's sakes. Hopefully, you guys have good starter games as well. I think everybody has some game that they start out with that really gets them hooked into gaming in general. Overall, for me, it was Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. What was it for you? And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.